Deep in the jungle of the Amazon River, a group of scientists are searching for fossils. From the dark waters, a pair of eyes is watching David, Kay, Mark, and Carl. They came for science and discovery, but they may not survive coming face to face with the creature from the Black Lagoon.
Welcome to Movie Friends. My name is Seth.
And I'm Michelle.
Today we're talking about Creature from the Black Lagoon from 1954. Directed by Jack Arnold, written by Harry Essex and Arthur A. Ross, cinematography by William E. Snyder, edited by Ted J. Kent, creature design by Millicent Patrick, starring Richard Carlson, Julie Adams, Richard Denning, Antonio Moreno, and Nestor Paiva. Michelle, what's going on?
What's up, Seth?
I'm feeling green again.
You know what you look like?
No, what?
You look like Audrey, too. Or a pickle with red lips. Seymour.
Mm-hmm.
Or the creature.
Or the creature. Yeah, that's what I was going for. I'm going for Creature from the Black Lagoon.
I think it's really funny if you showed up to a party dressed as this right now.
Mm-hmm.
Green sweatshirt, green. And people will be like, who are you? And be like, I'm the creature from Black Lagoon.
Yeah, of course.
Or you could be like, guess who I am? And I'm very curious what people would say.
Well, I think a lot of people would say Old Greg.
Right.
And I know you're not familiar with Old Greg, but I very much look like Old Greg right now, just without a glittery wig.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. Are you looking at pictures of Old Greg?
Sure am.
Okay.
I think you would need the outfit, though.
Yeah.
Because if you showed up like that, I would just be like, oh, you're a pickle.
Anyway, I'm getting into the spooky season spirit here.
I like it.
You know, costumes.
I know.
Every episode.
It's
and
great.
By costumes, I mean green paint that I still have left over.
This is becoming green face paint month.
Yeah. Hey, before we get into emails.
Look.
Oh, hey, look, you got the cat bag.
Yeah, your mom came by today and dropped off this cat bag that apparently she had for a while.
Yeah. I think it was like maybe around your birthday. I was like, I should get
awesome.
Michelle a gift for her birthday.
Well, you don't have to, but I'll always accept a cat-themed present.
I saw this tote bag and it had a cat making sushi on it. So I was like, yeah, that's something I think Michelle would like to see happen.
That is something I would like to see happen.
So, you know.
Well, thanks, Seth.
Yeah, you're welcome.
This is a great tote bag, and it has a back pocket. Did you know that?
No, Okay. This was a slap the money down and run kind of a situation.
Oh, well, thanks for slapping down the money and running.
Yep. But anyway, before we get into emails for a second time, before we get into emails.
You could just cut this out.
I wanted to... we love interacting with people, right? People on Twitter and Instagram, and that's about it, because we tried TikTok and hated it.
I hate it.
But quick shout out to our friend Rashawn.
Mm-hmm.
He did something, and we were like, why have we never asked people to do this before? This is so cool.
Uh-huh.
So he had commented on our tweet about Bride of Frankenstein, and he gave his happy and his crappy. And so we are officially making this a thing. Please comment on any of our episodes that you listen to. Especially, hey, if you're going back.
Yeah.
And we know you are. We see what people are listening to. If you go back and you listen to like Brief Encounter or E.T. or anything like that, boom. Let us know you're happy and you're crappy.
Please do. Oh,
In
my
fact,
gosh. Yeah.
I would love if we could get the hashtag going, happies and crappies.
I mean, because, I don't know why we couldn't.
Well, we could. And so that's what we're asking you guys to do. After you listen to an episode, tweet about it. Hashtag happies and crappies. Let us know.
Thank you.
And
Thank
again,
you.
full credit to Rashawn for doing that.
Yes, full credit. I can't believe we
Yes.
didn't think about that.
Yeah.
But so are you going to share his happy and crappy?
Oh, I didn't want to go that far.
Oh. Okay.
Anyway, we got some emails. Speaking
Sweet.
of going back and listening, subject line is ready for a throwback? ? Hello, movie friends. I recently
Hi.
watched the original Mad Max trilogy, so I went way back and listened to your episode on The Road Warrior.
Oh, no. Oh, gosh. Peach poking.
Yes, that's the poking a peach.
And the chaps, right?
Yep.
Yep.
So they say, I had only seen Fury Road of the core Mad Max movies, plus Furiosa this summer, before starting this viewing. Having completed my journey, I can now agree that of the original three, Road Warrior is the best one, but I still think Fury Road is such a spectacle, it's really hard to top as the best of the franchise. And you're right, while you may notice winks and nods to previous entries in the series, you truly can just jump into any entry and be able to follow what's going on, as the movies are more episodic and standalone than some movie series. Enjoyed your discussions on hurdy-gurdies and buttless chaps. I hope you'll revisit the franchise again sometime, Betsy.
Oh, Betsy. Hey, speaking of Bets,
As we call her.
you remember in our Frankenstein episode, she recommended us to watch The Drunk History on
Yes.
Mary Shelley? I finally watched it.
Oh, very good.
And I messaged her. Oh, very good. Thank
very
you,
nice.
Professor Seth. And I messaged her and told her. So thanks, Bets.
Awesome.
Maybe she hates that, Betsy. Let me just use her full name.
Mm.
For the best.
Constable Betts.
Constable Betts.
We got another email.
Ooh.
Subject line is Bride of Frankenstein. And they say, I love this guest. She's so cool.
She is cool.
This person, is, of course, is referring to our guest, Callie Harris, from last episode.
Mm-hmm.
They say, happy about this month's theme. I like that this is more comedic than the first one. The history behind the censorship is wild. Seth, new project. Women in horror that aren't the victims. And I just want to say, I've had this idea for like a huge article for the website for like a long time. And I would love to break down horror villains based on if they are female and what their power set is. Because so many horror characters who are male, Leatherface or Jason or Michael Myers, they're very like forceful and they're very physical. And you don't really get that in females. Females are more like witches or like psychological or like spiritual or ghosty kind of a thing. So it's on the back burner, but it's something I think about a lot. P.S. First time I've agreed with all the happy and crappy segment. Wow. Yeah. PSS, that 30s take on the 3-star review is possibly the worst take you've read on the podcast. PSSS, double mini.
Oh, double mini.
And PSSSS, pickle Seth. And now I look like this week I'm like sour pickle Seth.
I'm having a hard time not laughing at you. Wow. I have to be completely honest.
That's my life, yeah.
No, like you being very serious about this article you want to write, and I'm like, I just can't make eye contact with you. That's why I'm like looking down.
Yeah.
I can't.
Hey, we got one more email.
Oh gosh. Okay.
Subject line is request for Michelle.
Oh no.
And I am not going to read this one out loud. I'm just going to text it to you, okay?
Oh no.
Because this is a request for you. Okay. So you can read this one out loud, okay?
Okay. I'm nervous.
All right, just sent it to you.
Oh God. Okay, dear Michelle, say feminomenon. Your friend, Sean Jank.
Do you know that song?
Do I know that song?
Yeah, Chappel Roan.
No, I don't.
It's a phenomenon.
Feminine? No, I don't. I mean, I've seen her. I'm really out of touch.
Got it. Okay.
Very out of touch. So, but now I'll look it up.
Okay. It's a fun song. Yeah.
Thanks, Sean Shank. But I don't like challenges like that. So,
Oof.
just like,
Hey, if you want to challenge Michelle, send us an email.
Please don't make me say words.
Movie
This is like, please don't make me say words. You guys know you're a listener. If you listen for a long time, you know I screw up all the time.
Don't mention a number to Michelle and don't say words to her.
Why am I here? I should not do this anymore.
Send us an email, moviefriendspodcast@gmail.com. Let us know your requests for Michelle. I gotta say, people want more Michelle. Like,
you always say that, but that's not true.
I was emailing with our good friend and patron Skylar, and he was saying he wanted you to go see Megalopolis so that we could do an episode on it, because he was like, I need to see Michelle's thoughts on it. The people are sitting around at home just like, what does Michelle think about Femininomenon? What does she think about Megalopolis?
We could remix it. That's me doing the remix.
There you
go. Okay. You know what? It's time to move on. Megalopolis.
There you go. You did it.
Oh, it's a sci-fi drama.
Yeah, you love it.
Well, it's a 2024 sci-fi drama, though. Oh, Francis Ford Coppola. It's like, Michelle, oh, you have a movie podcast? We'd never know it. Okay.
Yes. Okay, can I just ask you a quick question?
Sure. Yeah.
Based on those three pieces of information you have, what do you think Megalopolis is about?
Honestly?
Yeah.
All I'm thinking about is SimCity.
Oh, okay. You're not far off.
I'm thinking Transformers meets SimCity. That's what comes to mind.
Okay. All right.
Am I close?
You're not. I mean, Megalopolis is about a lot of crazy things. So, but yeah.
Yeah. There you go.
So before we get into our discussion, we got to write down each other's guesses for ratings. And I have nothing. Oh, wait. No, I do.
I hear that scraping.
Yeah, sorry. Oof. I'm just going to go crazy. No, I'm not. I'm going to go very conservative with this one, as I always do. I'm locked in.
I'm also locked in.
So before one of us watches a film for the first time, we record our pre-watch thoughts. This was Michelle's first time watching. And so let's listen to that real quick.
I've always been fascinated by sea life and what could be and exist in water. So I'm really looking forward to watching this one. The only thing I really know about this movie is I do know what the creature looks like. So that won't really be a shock to me since I've seen the image in posters and online. But as far as how it surfaces and how we find it and how it tortures or maybe kills, I'm assuming it's not friendly because this is considered a horror movie. But maybe it's like a Planet of the Apes situation, and maybe there's more of them, and we get to see how they live and operate, and they steal the female that's on the poster to go live with them, and then she falls for the creature, realizing there's more to them. I don't know. We'll see.
So you like water?
I do like water.
And things that could be in water?
Yeah, I always ask people, are you more interested in the ocean or space? Like what exists in space?
I remember this, yeah.
What exists underwater? And I'm totally into like what's going on underneath.
I agree, except I don't like water. I just think we should, before we travel to the stars, we should figure out what we got going on our own planet first.
Wow.
But that's just me.
Mm-hmm.
What if there's a goo down there that, I don't know, does something cool?
A goo in the water?
Yeah, there could be a goo that like
jellyfish?
No, No, just some kind of miraculous goo that like
Flubber?
cures
Gack?
disease and maybe I don't know.
Huh. I never thought about a goo in the water.
Yeah, of course. Anyway, this
No, let's keep talking about goo in the water.
I mean, all I think about really in the ocean is goo in the water.
I wonder if we're not thinking about the same goo.
Well,
What
I mean,
comes to mind when you
it's a
think of goo?
I'm thinking of a hole in the ground at the bottom of the ocean, and a goo comes out.
Does
and
it? It's like
yeah, and you take the goo and you eat it, and it heals you of all diseases.
we should write that. The goo in the water.
Sure. The goo in the water. So something that you said kind of made me think like a lot of these monsters are like not really bad.
No, it's people.
You know?
We're the
Yeah.
problem.
Yeah,
The same thing in
yeah.
Frankenstein that
Mhm,
we spoke
mhm.
about. Yeah.
Yeah, very good. Good point.
Yeah.
So we have a guest today,
We do.
Kat Chinetti,
Mm-hmm.
who loves this movie and made me swear on my mother's grave that has yet to be dug
Oh my God.
that if we ever covered this movie, we would have her on. And so I did. And we're
You know,
doing it.
I have a question for you.
Yeah.
This is your pick.
This is my pick. Yep. Mm-hmm.
Now, is it your pick because Kat loves it so much and made you swear on your mother's grave that hasn't been dug yet? Or
It was a bit of like a two birds, one stone, kind of like this is the time that we're gonna do this movie. You know what I mean? Like we're in Monstober.
okay.
We're here.
Uh-huh.
But I also there's some stuff, and we'll get into it in the episode, but there's some stuff in this that I really, really love. So
Cool.
yeah, it was between this and one other movie for me.
Are you gonna tell us?
Well, I'll wait till later.
All right.
Anyway, so let's go to our conversation with Kat. Michelle.
Seth. Kat.
Kat.
Me.
Good job,
Kat.
guys. Good job.
Kat, thank you so much for joining us. Back when you and I talked about the Marvels, we were talking, and I can't remember how it came up. Maybe as the episode was ending, you just yelled into the ether as you disappeared, "If you ever cover Creature from the Black Lagoon, you have to have me on."
Yeah, as I started dissolving into dust, like it was the end of Infinity War. That was my
Yes.
my out.
Yeah. Tell my family I love them. And also, if you ever happen to cover Jack Arnold's 1954 film. So, yeah, so you're here. So I wanted to just start by asking you, like, what's your history with this movie and why are you such a big Black Lagoon head?
So, this is a really weird story where I watched it in college one time and I was like, "Hey guys, this is pretty good." And out of nowhere, all of my friends were like, "Well, if you like him so much, why don't you marry him?" Meh. And then he was like ascribed as a personality trait to me. Which is fine. That happens sometimes. And as happens when this happens to me, this also happened to me with BB-8 from The Force Awakens, weirdly.
Sure.
I feel the need to become like a deep keeper of the lore. Because if this is one thing that people like assume about me, then I feel the need to be able to just like absolutely and thoroughly educate you about it.
Got it.
Love that.
It's one of those things that comes from reading a lot of books and having a lot of like interest in learning more about stuff. But then Creature particularly caught my attention because would have been in 2018. In 2019, this book came out. It's called The Lady from the Black Lagoon by Mallory O'Meara. And it is entirely about the woman who designed the Creature from the Black Lagoon. Her name is Millicent Patrick. She is super cool. This is a really good book if you like that history. But also it becomes kind of a whole different feminist enchilada, for lack of a better term, when you know that about it. Like that this creature was designed by a woman. It was based, like the story's loosely based off of Beauty and the Beast. So there has to be something in there that that like could be lovable. And that element I think is really strong in the creature design. And once you kind of start looking through all those little details, even in the film itself, I think it makes the movie more interesting. And then in turn, it makes the movie more interesting, the creature more lovable, it makes the history more like, and it just kind of starts cycling through, right? It's also, I think, a really special time in film because this is kind of Universal's attempt to get people off from their televisions, but also are realizing that like teenagers are pretty viable. Like they don't want to be at home with their parents. They want to be out at the pictures.
Right.
Okay, but how do we like make it different than others? So like just from a film history perspective as well, the fact it was shot in native 3D, the fact that this is one of the first films to have suspended underwater sequences, it as a film history object, it also becomes very interesting. His design, if you look at it, is very similar to Godzilla, which is kind of happening concurrently.
Yep.
And they're both like very heavily inspired by like nuclear fear. And
Yep.
like in this case, it's what if people never evolved? In the case of that nuclear fear, it's what if people evolved wrong? You know, but the speech at the beginning about like, what if we could use him to like go to space? That's so 50s in a way that like I don't think could ever, you know, I know James, I think it's James Wan is maybe doing a creature movie, and I'm just happy it's not Lee Winnell, but like I worry that if you try too hard to make it a thing, what does that look like?
Yeah.
Part of, to me, what is so special about this movie is the like very heavily designed effortlessness that somehow still manages to exist in it. You know, it's an hour and 30 minutes long. There's a lot of hand waving about like, yes, and we do science. Like, you know, it's just enough to be like, yeah, they do science. You're not like so locked into it that that's all that it's about.
Right.
And I think that just creates a really interesting like space for narrative to live. And I think everyone is acting like it's just a really good little like pocket of filmmaking that isn't just schlock and isn't just nonsense and isn't just scary. There's a whole bunch of different themes in there. There's just a lot of business happening. And Bride of Frankenstein has a lot of business too, but...
Right.
Yeah.
Even how we open is very interesting to me because we start out with the biblical explanation of creation, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then immediately switches to the scientific explanation of creation and evolution and how we got here. And so it's like right away, the movie starts us off with like, here are these two opposing ideas. And throughout the movie, I was so struck my third time rewatching this. I watched this 3 times for this episode because so much of the dialogue and so much of the scenes, I felt they were just like washing over me. And I was just like, I see your mouths moving and I just do not comprehend. Not that what they're saying is very complicated, but this movie just felt like so simple to me. And I felt like finally on my last watch through, I saw the clear pictures that they were showing, and especially in the relationship between David and Mark, and how like David is all business and angry. And then, oh no, I'm sorry. Mark is all business and angry. And David is like, I'll bring a camera underwater and you can bring a gun. And then when the creature appears, David has a light and Mark has a gun. And so like David's whole thing is like trying to see what this connection is. And like he's trying to see it. And Mark is trying to use it and like dominate it. And then there's 2 love triangles. So there's David, Mark, and Kay. And then there's David, Kay, and the monster. And Mark is trying to forcefully take Kay away from David. And the monster, or the creature rather, is trying to forcefully take Kay. And like, what is the place of man kind of in the face of like science and nature and like those 2 things? And like you mentioned, all the stuff with the space race and like how people evolved from things that couldn't breathe under one type of pressure. And there's always these mentions of the scuba of like, you need to wait to repressurize. And, you know, like stuff coming from below the surface to the surface, and then studying the creature for space. I'm not gonna lie to you. I did not love this movie the first time I saw it. I thought it was
That's
fine.
okay.
And I just was like, there's almost nothing to this movie. And now after rewatching it a bunch, I'm like, oh, there's actually stuff and there's actually ideas. And yeah, there's a lot. So Michelle, I'm curious for you, because you watched this for the first time.
I did.
Yeah,
I really enjoyed it. In fact,
okay.
This is probably one of the movies that we've covered that I took the least amount of notes.
Wow. Because
I was just so I'm fascinated with sea life, what could be, what's underwater, what we haven't found yet, and so that drew me in. Yeah. And just like the idea of a creature down there, sign me up. And I'm into the whole science thing too.
Mm-hmm. So it's like the Bigfoot of the water.
That's right. Yeah, I don't know. I had like no questions with this one. I didn't need to I just really enjoyed it. This is a good one. See, I thought this was fun. Yeah.
I think one of the things that I have found interesting time and time again in watching it is the kind of idea that like the guy who owns the lab, right, is like considered the most evolved, but he is the most alike to the creature, and kind of the idea that like humans are still wild animals.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
To me, that is one of the things that brings me back every time. Like, I'm not sure that the creature is taking Kay to mate with her or whatever. I think he is taking a pretty shiny that hasn't tried to kill him yet.
Interesting.
It's something that looks enough like him and isn't hurting him.
Yeah.
Interesting.
And also because she is underwater when he first sees her, even if she were to scream, it wouldn't sound like the screams he has heard from the people on land. And I think that there's a lot of like really clever play with the camera and the sound design about like distance.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that like he feels the closest to her, even though he sees her the most from far away. And one could argue that's a romantic or primal thing. At a certain point, it really doesn't matter. But like, I think to me, it is preying more on her, like as this is one that doesn't hate me versus a like, this is my wife. And I noticed that a little bit more in this one because that's also very much how she treats Mark. She's like, well, he got me my job. And like, she has like a throwaway line about how she like couldn't be a doctor.
Yeah.
And so she's like, well, he, saw an opportunity for me. I'm sure it has nothing to do with the way that I look. And like, I run everything around here and he values me, but like,
right.
He wants to like hold her up close and keep her up close.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's a deliberate juxtaposition in that way, but that was what I was kind of exploring at this point. Because David, who is like gentle and doesn't wish to possess her and is like nice and they seem to have a similar philosophy. Like he's the one that she allows to like hold her and see her up close.
Yeah. Kat, how many times have you seen this? You think?
12 or 14 probably.
Wow.
Nice. And every time you watch, do you notice something a little different, or is it just for pleasure usually?
I almost always end up kind of stumbling into something different that I like, or to like explore. But also like last night I threw this on and my friend was seeing it for the first time and he was like asking a bunch of questions about like, how did he not drown? It was the 50s. And I was like, well, I'll tell you. For example, on that watch, I wasn't as tuned in as I was like being the narrator of this one in a way.
Yeah. Do you like that? Do you like being the narrator for a first-time viewer?
Yeah, this and Bride of Frankenstein are the two that I think are contextually the most interesting to talk about, like while you're watching them.
Yeah.
For example, I think the film like Bride of Frankenstein becomes a very different film if you know that the director was an out gay man in Hollywood.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because then it becomes the story of like, two men creating life so their straight friend will leave them alone.
Right.
Where, but if you don't know that that's part of the history, you may not pick up on that on its own.
Right.
And Creature, I think, has some similar stuff, specifically with like how the female characters interplay in it, and how that I think is in a lot of ways different, but not completely. You know, she still faints as soon as he touches her and lands in a position for easy picking up off of the floor.
Yeah.
But she also runs a laboratory, stated that she wanted to be a doctor, but wasn't able to be because of her. Like, there's a lot of like more pulp there than usual.
Right.
You know, when there's a scream on the deck, she's like the second person up the stairs. She wants to be in the action.
Yeah. Yeah.
Kay is very interesting to me because she's there in the lab when they're discussing all the stuff. She's there meeting the professor at the beginning. She's there, and there's not a whole lot of like, Kay, get behind me, or like, Kay, get out of here. You know, she's not like the little sister female character who's like tagging along. Like, Kay is part of the expedition. And I think it was like my second time watching it. I was like, wait, is she not a doctor? Is she not actually part of this? Because she's always part of it, you know? And
the official title is that she's the lab manager.
Got it.
That's thrown out really quickly in one scene.
Got it. Yeah, and like the idea of her being taken goes back to like the very beginning of the idea for the movie. William Allen, he hears this story of a legend of half human, half fish creatures that would once a year come up from the waters to like take a woman, basically. And so that gets adapted and over, you know, the 10 years that it took to get this to actually come to screen. I think that's like an element that had that not been in the original idea, I don't know that would be the story, but yeah.
Right. Also, do you know where he heard that story about the fish man for the first time?
No.
At Orson Welles' house.
Oh, very cool.
He was just hanging out with him while he was making Citizen Kane. They tied one off, and their Mexican cinematographer was just like, yeah, anyway, you want to hear about the fish man?
Got it. And he was like, I can make my own Citizen Kane.
with fish and broads.
That's right.
Also, the plot of the second one is Gilman encouraging a woman to get her doctorate. I'm not making that up.
Wow, I need to watch the second one now.
Wait. I know we shouldn't jump into that, but what? I'm fascinated about that.
I'll give you just kind of the briefest overview. He has been captured. He is being held in like a SeaWorld type facility. And there is a female graduate student in an all otherwise male class. And they're like, we want to study him and see his habits, see? And so he just decides to do nothing. Like, whenever they're there, he's just kind of floating. He doesn't eat. He doesn't do anything. But then she starts coming at off-peak times because they won't even, like, let her look at him. Like, they are blocking her with their bodies and stuff like that. And he starts doing all the stuff on her tests, but just for her. We started, a couple of my friends and I have a meme channel on Discord called Secret Feminist Gilman, where we just like make memes where he's like walked through a wall and it's like, Secret Feminist Gilman thinks you should do your laundry.
That's pretty great, actually.
Yeah.
So that really, like, combining those two, it's easy to see where Guillermo del Toro took this to make Shape of Water, which I actually was a guest on Kat's show to talk about Shape of Water.
Wow, full circle here, guys.
I know. And I was really not a big fan of it on my rewatch.
I thought it was a nice, charming vibe, and I liked that it wasn't hard for me.
Yeah. And you know, just a reminder to everyone, Guillermo del Toro's Shape of Water, which is basically Creature from the Black Lagoon and Kay actually fall in love and mate. Yes, Michelle, you should check it out, especially if you like this.
The little torso shells, they retract.
It's insane. But he fully leans into the love story, and that
Yeah.
the creature is not a villain, but the creature's misunderstood. It's an interesting idea, but that won Best Picture at the Oscars. I just love to remind people, like, go watch that movie and that that weirdo film. And I say that as a lover of weirdo films, but it's like,
I got to
holy
see
moly.
the suit from Shape of Water at the Academy Museum.
Oh, very cool.
Yeah, it is a cool suit, but like that's not my fish man. He's too skinny. Someone needs
Yes.
to feed him.
And we should say, the creature has a name, Gillman.
Gillman.
mhm.
Gillman.
Gil. We just
Gil.
call him Gil.
Sure,
Yeah.
Gilly.
Just a
Gilly.
little guy.
I wanted to ask you guys, the idea of the movie comes from this legend of a half man, half fish.
Mm-hmm.
We have elements of Beauty and the Beast in there. Upon watching it, and I guess, Kat, for you, this would be like your first watch or so. How are you feeling about the creature? Are you afraid of him? Do you like him? Are you interested? Do you feel that he is a monster, or do you feel that he's a creature?
I feel that he's a creature. Like he is most of the time minding his own business in his native habitat. The only time he gets fresh with people is when they are in his land stealing his shit or attacking him.
Mm-hmm.
He's a wild animal. He's not like a guy, it's he kind of looks like a guy. I get why people are confused, but like, at least as far as we know, he doesn't talk or anything.
Right.
Like he may have an internal monologue, but that's not what the movie's about. He is an animal, and he sees something that looks similar-ish to him that is not trying to kill him.
Right.
And so he decides to investigate. It is an intriguing character to me in a lot of ways, because it's like so close to human, but also very far away. I think it does a really good job, like I said, about kind of holding that mirror up to Mark, being like, what's different here? Like, what's different is that you think, but you've still reverse engineered your way back to this behavior, even by being the like smart guy. And is that really what you want? Like, is that who you want to be? To me, the monster of this film is a lack of funding for science.
Yep.
And it's also like this especially very 50s coded, but I think is coming back, unfortunately, like I'll say predominantly white male view of ownership and colonization.
Mm-hmm.
I am a scientist. I am an owner of a lab. I should be able to do this. I have a gun. Everyone should listen to me, and like the moment where the captain is like, no, we're leaving.
Yeah.
Like,
Pulls the knife on him.
People are dead. That is, it is not presented as because there is a monster who's like stalking us and picking us off one by one. It's like, no, because you pissed off nature. It's more of a man versus nature story with some funky nature than it is like, I knocked on this creepy castle and now this like man is eating my throat.
Sure.
Mm-hmm.
Michelle, what about you? Did you, were you affected by all of the creepy hands coming up, and how did you
I just
feel
laughed. I was just like, the look of the creature doesn't creep me out watching it on TV. Obviously, if I'm in a lagoon, then I can't see. And, I see that swimming. But I loved the aesthetic of it. Everything just worked for me. And everything what Kat said too. I mean, I feel like Mark had a death wish from the beginning, right?
Yeah.
And not that I wish death, but I'm just like, you need to go away. You're really annoying me. So keep it up, buddy. Keep it up. That was
he's so, and to Kay, sorry, Kat, I'm gonna call you Kay because I got Kay on the brain.
I have a couple of friends who call me Kay. It's not the end of the world.
Okay. So to Kat's point, from the get-go, the idea is like, how do we use this? Like, how can
Right.
we use this thing? And we need to go and like capture it and study it and find it. And I mean, at first, I don't think they expect to find any kind of living creature because they find
No.
a fossilized hand, right? So
Yeah.
Yeah.
it is just this thing of like, hey, we've discovered this, and what can we get from it? We don't
Right.
live in this country, but we're scientists and we have guns
Yeah.
and harpoon guns and
Hopefully appropriately filed permits.
Exactly. Yeah.
Logistics.
And he just
That's Kay's
can't,
job.
like cut his losses and regroup. It's like and it's so wild to go back to 1954 and see this character who I don't find Mark to be like a full-on caricature twirling mustache, like, hey, look at how dumb this guy is. Like, I'm very surprised to see this type of character portrayed this way, where from another point of view, Mark would be the hero, because so
Yes.
often in American cinema, it's the man with the will to do the quote unquote right thing who's the hero. Doesn't matter if he's breaking the law. It doesn't matter if he's gonna do it, man. And that's Mark. And like, I think it's only in contrast with David that Mark looks like a bad guy.
Mhm.
Like, if you took David out of this whole thing, I think Mark is the hero of the movie. I mean, obviously he's not, but like,
Yeah.
You think
I don't
so?
know. Does that make any sense?
I mean,
can't-
there's no one else to really. He's the closest thing to a hero we'd have. I don't think the
Yeah.
movie would hold up nearly as well if he was. But I also think that it's to your point, in a way, I think it's very subversive to have the softer guy get the girl at the end for the 50s.
Yeah.
Maintain the girl.
Yeah.
He maintains
Right.
their relation.
Mhm.
They're
Yeah.
together, and we don't see a moment where Mark like secretly pushes a kid off of a merry-go-round or steals something. You know what I
Or
mean? Like,
makes a really out of pocket comment about like women.
yeah,
Like,
it really
True.
is like, we're going to show these two men and how they go about doing the same thing, and it's conflicting, worldviews, really. And again, bringing it back to the very beginning, where they bring in the Bible and science, and like, the first time I watched it, I was like, okay, whatever. Are they just trying to like, take from Frankenstein and because this is 1954. This is a while past the classic era of like the Universal monsters, and that's an era that some people will debate on when it starts and when it ends, but I think Creature from the Black Lagoon in 54 is probably the end of that thing. And so, but yeah, like right at the beginning, the movie is telling you, here are two conflicting ideas. Either way, we're here. So which one do you go with?
Mm-hmm.
Regardless of what you
Much-
believe, the Earth is here. And yeah.
Much like the Disney Princess lineup, I feel like the Universal Classic Monsters lineup is like very flexible based on how many toys are selling at any given time.
Sure.
And I
Mm.
say this as a big Classic Monsters fan. I go to Halloween Horror Nights every year. Like,
Oh,
this
cool.
is a thing I care about a lot. But like, they used to have they still do, but this year it was 80s vampire themed, and it was like the Lost Boys. And
Nice.
we don't need to talk about what happened to me in this bar. But anyway, so they had a bar that was called the Dead Coconut Club, and the idea was that it was the cantina on the set of the monster movies that they would go to while the movies were getting made.
Very
And
cool.
then clear cutoff there was Creature is the last guy in the door.
You and Michelle could probably talk about theme parks.
I love theme parks.
That's where I'm.
That's my
you know.
movie history. I was probably
Every
on the
movie-
ride.
Every movie that we talk about, doesn't matter what it is. Like, we could be talking about Singing in the Rain, and Michelle's like, "Well, yeah, of course, I saw that on a movie ride."
The
I'm
great
like,
movie.
Yeah,
ride.
at Disney's MGM Studios,
That's
they
right.
had
That's right.
had the
Mhm.
foothold and the umbrella that
So
you could
great.
hold on to.
I love the smell. I remember the smell of the rain coming down.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Oh gosh.
So Michelle will watch these huge movies for the first time, and like the only thing in her mind is like a 30-second portion of a theme ride.
That's right.
which is like
Yeah.
such an interesting way of.
I had that problem with
into a
Casablanca. I watched it for the first time and I was like, oh, they move a lot more than the animatronics did by the time I got there.
Totally, right? When they're outside the plane. Yeah.
Yeah. And then I was like, I need to go. Like I got to turn in my movie card. Like this is bad.
Casablanca's not about robots. Oh my god.
Whoa.
So I have a question for both of you, and I don't know if either of you noticed this, but when the creature first goes to grab Kay, I just want to mention her shoes. I don't know if you guys noticed her shoes.
Oh, I love it with the slip on with the tie up.
Yes,
Yeah,
they look kind of like Toms.
Yep.
But they've got grommets on the side and then ballet slip up. Okay, all right. I'm glad that you both noticed because
those are hard shoes to wear.
Yeah, I mean, when you're shaped like the Dior New Look, I think it's probably easier. But I mean, the ties are on to keep those on her feet because if those shoes relax at all, you're losing the shoe.
Right. Yeah, just also such a choice for what they're doing.
Yeah.
Also, because I thought a lot about this, I've had tied up shoes like that before, and I have like really unfortunate bony ankles, and like nothing stays up. So
yeah,
what does that mean?
Tough. There's just nothing to keep them up.
Yeah, if you have
do most
kind
people
of
have fatty ankles?
Well, I mean, I'm just saying, like, I have like a bony foot, a narrow foot, and my
if
ankles.
you have a narrow foot and a narrow ankle, it's really hard for it to
What is
get
a
traction.
fat foot?
Like,
Aren't all feet just bones?
Well, no, because you can have like a wide foot or a flat foot or more cushion on your foot, and a cankle is what they have said. I don't want to go there. I'm not shaming anyone.
Feet is just bones.
Michelle takes a sock off and it's a skeleton foot.
Yeah, exactly.
Honest and blue because I have like poor circulation. But anyway,
a shivering skeleton foot.
That's right. Yeah. That's pretty much me in a nutshell. But yeah, those shoes are hard to keep up logistically.
Yeah, no, I mean, I do really like that. Like, she's in like the female equivalent of what the guys are wearing most of the time.
Yeah,
but there's always like just some little details to make it a little more feminine.
Yeah.
And like, I do like that she like, I know some of this is just ascribed to her, but like, it does seem like she does care about that. Mm-hmm. Like, she is still trying to be professional and practical. You know, she's not trying to have everybody, go like, whoa, as she walks by.
Right.
You know, she's not dressing to impress the guy she's dating, but she's got some fun little feminine details to what otherwise is a very practical outfit.
Yeah.
She's pretty cool. She also always, her like little winged eyeliner is always cute, even when she's soaking wet. And I love that.
Yeah.
Yeah. And in talking about recording this episode, Kat, you had mentioned that you got the screen accurate swimsuit that she has.
Yeah, I do. I have a purse that's shaped like Creature's head, which I can go wheel off and get. But for my birthday this year, my partner got me the Creature head purse, and then one of my best friends got me the Vixen by Micheline Pitt. They are a pinup clothing brand. They did a officially licensed screen accurate version of her swimsuit.
Wow.
And it is like industrial strength. I think this swimsuit could outlive me if it got drenched in chlorine every day. It is fully boned. It is clearly designed for support, which is great. Mm-hmm. It is like triple layer thick, which is really nice because it's white, and if white gets wet, sometimes it gets see-through.
Man, you struck out. That's amazing.
I know. It's still available on their website. Hashtag not a plug. But also hashtag hot Julie Adams summer, anyone?
Yeah, right? It's so flattering too.
Yeah. No, it's a great little silhouette. And it's just like, cool, I guess I'm gonna get a wig and build a little creature hand that snaps onto a foot and do a little costume.
Nice.
Like, because what else do you do?
when we talked about Bride of Frankenstein last week, we talked a lot about the iconic imagery of the bride and how in such a short amount of screen time, how that character just, you know, became one of the most iconic images in film history. And for me, Creature from the Black Lagoon, obviously the creature design is great. And again, shout out to Millicent Patrick. But for me, all the underwater stuff is amazing. Absolutely. I feel like I'm floating watching these. And I do not like water. I'm not a water dude. I'm not a beach dude. If I never swam a day in my life, I would be ecstatic. I feel like the water shots are like almost like take you out of your body, you know, for a minute.
Yeah.
And bringing it back to Julie Adams as Kay Lawrence, I can't express enough the emotions and like magic that I feel watching those two swimming together.
It's like dancing.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
It is. Yeah.
It's like a canvas being painted in front of you. It's like watching people dance in front of you. Like it's just such a great combination of movement with image and music and lighting and picture. It's amazing.
If you ever get the chance
to
see it in 3D, by the way, it is so
stunning. Yeah, everyone that I was reading about this said if you can see this in 3D, you gotta see it in 3D. And I would love to see it.
Yeah,
3D.
I would do that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I have a question for both of you.
Sure.
So, okay, we're scientists, right?
Mm-hmm.
As always.
That's right. And we know something's in there, and we see the creature, and so we're like, we gotta go back in.
Yeah.
And we gotta keep going back in.
Mm-hmm.
Are we going back in?
No.
All right.
For me,
there's no fear. Which I'm
No.
like, okay, maybe that's the scientist mentality. And then Kay is just like, I'm going to go for a swim.
Yeah.
Let me just swim. And I'm like, okay, this is what was racking my brain.
I guess it depends. Because if we have modern technology, I'm sending a little like submarine robot to go check on what's going on down there. Throwing a GoPro on that thing. Like we'll figure it out. If I am a scientist, like probably, I don't know.
Yeah,
what if it's cool?
Right?
Like, yeah, but also
cool?
Don't want to miss out on that.
The only thing they've seen at that point is that there's something.
Yeah.
They're like, it might have been a big fish, and then something broke or got caught on their net. They don't know if it has been in there yet when Kay gets in to swim.
Right.
They think it's been caught on a rock and tore.
Right.
Also, I don't think she's that scared. I think she does this to make the men more comfortable. Like she sees him and you see her looking at him for like a full 2 seconds and she's just like, like she's just like, oh God, they're watching. So I got to yell. I can't just like swab his like little gill cheek for science. Like, you know, so I think there's some kind of layers of performativeness that she puts on her fear, which I think is interesting. But like, yeah, I don't know. Fuck it. There's science down there. I'm gonna go do that.
Yeah, right. I know. I kept trying to think of that for my mentality, because like me as a not scientist, no.
But also, maybe you'll get a chance to kill Mark and make it look like an accident.
Wow.
There you go. I'm absolutely not going. I would be on David's side 100%. I would say, you know what? Let's go back. And we have the word of all of us saying, hey, we saw a gill man. Let's come back with proper equipment and more people, and let's do this the right way.
Once he introduces that, I think that becomes the right call. I think the first, like, wait, what was that something? Let's go investigate is also the right call. I think as soon as it becomes a, like, there is something, we know it's big, it just killed another person, that is when we go get help.
Right. Yeah. Right.
Because to me, there's no difference between if I was out on the plains and I saw a lion and then I
Right.
saw the lion go down into a cave, I wouldn't be like, come on, Gain, follow me.
Right.
I'd be like,
Yep.
yeah, thank God it left.
I got a chair. I got a whip. I'm ready.
Yep. No. Absolutely. No, thank you. I also wanted to ask you guys, before we go too far from Kay swimming, how'd you feel about that dirty water?
Okay. I have a question. Okay.
Yeah.
Now, film friends, don't judge your non-film friend here. This lagoon obviously is dark to us, but is it to them? Like on film, it is dark. We can't really see.
I think they do a lot of business to make it look like it's a deeper lagoon than it is. Because
Okay.
I have now seen where a lot of it was filmed, and it is probably a 12 by 24 puddle on the backside of the Universal lot.
Okay.
I do not know how deep it was, and I do not know how much of it they chose to kind of obscure in darkness so you could not see the surface of the water.
Okay. Right. Okay.
First of all, it's a goddamn lagoon.
I don't know.
There's like lichen
is.
and shit in there. That makes
I'm
sense.
just throwing that out there.
Two, Creature didn't know he had guests coming. He didn't have time to clean.
So
Like,
true. His grotto. I mean,
Yeah, he's just kind of living his life, and then he's like, fuck, there's a boat. Like,
right.
you know when people just show up at your house and they're like, I was in the neighborhood, and you're like, don't do this. You're not ready for what you're about to see in here. Same energy.
Yeah, I was just like, because there's some shots where the water is quite clear, and then there's some shots where Kay's in that water, and I'm like, Kay, get out of that water.
That swimsuit is
you
not
are getting
white
bacteria.
anymore.
Swimsuit's not white anymore. All right. Yes, exactly. But I'm like, maybe they're seeing clear and it's just dark to us. But like, if I can't see below me, but I mean, have you ever been in well, maybe not Seth, but like I've swam in water where you can't see your feet.
Yeah.
And then you're just wondering like, ooh, is that a piece of seaweed that flew by my toes?
Ugh.
Or was it Gilman?
Or,
Dun, dun, dun!
Right.
I went swimming one time at a beach, maybe like in Brooklyn or somewhere. I can't remember, but the tide was quite low, and so you could walk really far out, and the water was only like to your knees, like very, very far. And so I'm just walking and walking and walking. But when the water's up to your knees, you can't quite run and you can't quite swim. So I get all the way out, and these little crabs start biting me. And so I just started freaking out. And I also didn't have swim trunks. So I was wearing my brother's swim trunks, who weighs probably like 60 pounds less than me. So I'm wearing these teeny tiny trunks, just running for like what felt like, a quarter of a mile through heavy water, getting bit by tiny little crabs. And that's my Creature from the Black Lagoon experience.
Creature from the BK.
Yeah. How are you guys feeling about Lucas, the captain of the boat? The captain of the Rita?
It seems like a smart man. Gets well compensated. Knows when to leave.
Yeah.
Probably horribly racially insensitive, but we don't really need to talk about that. I don't know.
I keep forgetting how many people are on this boat.
Yeah, there
to
are
me, it's
so
like
many.
David, Mark, Kay. And then I'm like, oh, wait, that other guy's there too.
Yeah,
I'm like, oh, this other guy.
Yeah, he's got like 30 friends also on the boat. And they're all named like things that like probably could be used as slurs now.
So there's Dr. Edwin.
Yeah.
Who is the guy who gets all messed up and then he's laying there bandaged?
The only other person that is nice to Kay, by the way.
Kay's conversation with Edwin is when we finally get the backstory between her and Mark. Because throughout the whole movie, it's like, did they date? Like, what is happening here?
He just wanted to, give her that MRS degree. You know what I'm saying?
Right. And so poor Edwin, just who's like, I guess been below deck all movie. They're like,
All
hey,
right,
Edwin,
I'm
you
ready
haven't
for
done
my
anything.
close-up, Mr. DeMille. Ah!
Yeah.
Ah!
Hey, you want to come guard this razor-clawed, super
Also,
strong
like,
monster?
poorly trapped. Did we really think this was gonna work?
He
He
looks
can literally fit his hands and head through the
Yeah.
weaving.
We better leave this hands and head-shaped hole.
Right?
Yes.
Oh.
Yeah. It's pretty great. I'm not in the camp that says like, oh, this looks like a rubber suit and it hasn't aged well. I think the suit looks awesome, especially underwater.
Mhm.
Like you would think that something like that would get so waterlogged and you just sink, like, Kat, like you mentioned earlier. But it's so functional. You don't see any seams on it. As he's walking around, you can actually do close-ups of this creature and it still looks good. But every time they cut to him in that cage, I just like burst out laughing because they'll all be talking and then it just cuts and he's like
He looks so
he's like
mad.
bright
but-
eyes, like
Yeah. Like he looks so mad, but in the way that like toddlers get mad and they don't know what to do with their
Yes.
face.
yes.
Exactly.
Yeah, I'll tell you what he looks like. He looks like when you're with a toddler and you are like, are you pooping? Do you have to go to the bathroom? And they're like, no. And then they like go in the corner because they think that you can't see them. That's what the creature is doing. He's doing pooping toddler face behind that cage. And he's in that cage for like, what, 5 seconds?
Yeah, like just enough time for them to like load him onto the boat,
Right.
get a monologue in, and then he's just like, well, I've heard enough.
He would have left earlier, but he also wanted to hear what was happening.
Yeah, he was like,
with
I'm
Mark
sorry,
and
wait,
Kay.
so you're saying I have an in?
Right. He's like, oh, okay. So I just have to take care of David.
Okay.
Right.
But
Thanks,
like,
Edwin.
he might be cool about this. I don't know.
Yeah. Now I'm gonna maul Edwin and leave.
Thank you for your service, sir.
Yeah. And I just love later on when Edwin is laying there on his bunk all bandaged and he can't scream, and the hand is just like, and Edwin's like,
Yeah, I know.
and the hand is like, the hand doesn't do anything. It just like wants Edwin to be like, I'm still here.
Yoo-hoo!
Don't get comfortable, Edwin. Do not rest and relax. I will kill you.
Get on this boat at any time.
Yes,
Pretty
of.
much.
Yes,
Yeah.
pretty much.
Let's keep the stairs in the water.
Yeah, that. Do you think he can't climb up that thing with them nails?
Yeah.
Come on.
I would have liked, and obviously this is 1954, so it would have been a little bit more difficult, but I would love a Free Willy shot from this where they're standing on the deck and he just whoosh over them. And maybe Kay like reaches up like
Yeah.
Seth, can you create that image?
I will. Yeah, I'll do that. Yeah.
That'd be pretty great. Let's do that.
Can you
Free Gill
play?
Man.
Can you play both parts?
Yeah. And then it kind of becomes like Free Willy because Gillman is like, I hate these people, but I don't want them to leave.
Here's my branch.
Yeah.
I showed you my branch. Please respond.
So, I don't know how boats work. I'm not like a boat guy. But like, does this not seem like he threw kind of like a toothpick in front of a bicycle?
Yeah.
Yeah, except, I mean, at one point they show it from a different angle, and you're like, oh, that's quite a lot of sticks, actually.
Mm-hmm.
It kind of looks like a beaver dam or something. Mm-hmm. I'm like, okay, maybe I understand that they don't want to, like, plow through that. But there is one shot where you can clearly see that if they just backed the boat up and, like, turned, like, 3 inches to the left, they'd be able to get around it, which is pretty funny.
Yeah.
But he just wanted them to notice him. See him for the artist he is. He wove that. He made that.
Well, I think he can't let Kay go. He wants, he
wants a friend.
He's picking them off like one at a time until it's just him and Kay. And so he's like, you can't.
And they'll have a little boat home, and it'd be cute.
Okay, this was my one gripe When she flicks the cigarette into the water, I screamed.
Yeah.
You screamed?
Don't litter.
The one cigarette she has in the entire film, by the way.
Yeah.
Don't flick it into the water.
Yeah, I agree. Don't litter. Littering is like no
That's
good.
when I
No-
see red.
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah,
like,
but was there an anti-littering campaign in 1954? Had that happened?
No, I mean
yet?
they believed back
where
then.
in Mad Men are we right now?
Right.
yeah.
Although, back in 1954, a cigarette may have actually been all biodegradable material. Might have just been
that's
paper and
true.
tobacco in that thing.
Okay, all right.
She was helping the planet by throwing.
But just to throw it into the water, like I don't know.
Creature
but-
actually, because they pan down and he's like down there and he's like sick. You think there's any life left in that thing? Like,
Yeah, I thought that was interesting to.
yeah. So
shoot
the
over to
only
him.
thing that she threw him was a gift. No wonder he wants to hang out with her.
Right.
Yeah.
It's like sick. Now I can look human too. Smoking is good for you. It's the 50s.
Right.
Right.
So Kay is eventually taken and
everyone collectively deluded themselves into thinking that she gets taken in the white swimsuit, and she does not.
right, she does not. Nope.
Mm-hmm.
So David and Mark go under. There's a huge fight. Mark bites the big one, and
Suck it, Mark.
David goes to the secret grotto, and still, after everything, he's like, no, stop shooting him. Stop shooting the monster. Let him be. That's enough.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that he's wrong, but it's pretty surprising that this dude is still like, no,
No,
I don't
they
know.
might make more of these someday. Let them go.
Well, yeah, yeah. And then the monster floats down to the water, and the movie is like the end.
Yep. I do really like that the classic monster movies have just like no off ramp.
Oh, it's over. It's
So it seems
The tower explodes. The end.
Yeah, it's almost as if the director is like in the theater, and the second that it ends, he flips the light on. He's like, "Go home,
Get out,
go home."
Well,
we had nothing else. Everything is on the screen. Get out.
A fact that I learned recently that is actually kind of interesting. Apparently, until about the time that Psycho came out, movies were often just kind of ambiently playing in theaters and just would loop over and over again. Or sometimes would be like 2 or 3 movies in a loop. And so I do wonder if that's part of the reason why there's like no off ramp. So then you can literally just put the first reel in again and let it go.
Right.
Like
Makes
you don't
sense.
have to wait for anything.
Before I get into like factual stuff, did you guys have any notes on the movie that we didn't?
I mean, my only thing, it has nothing to do with the movie, but like we were all obsessed with the Amazon when we were kids, right? Because I was.
I feel like every kid has a period after they like read The Great K-Pop Tree where they're like, well, I got to learn everything about like the jungle now. And that like no, I take it back. Some kids have Titanic things. Some kids that's their
I had
like,
that era.
thing. But yeah,
I didn't really. I had a computer game that was fashioned after the Oregon Trail.
Yeah, the Amazon Trail. I had that too.
Yeah, and you had the boat, and it was like first perspective, and that was a very fun game.
Yeah.
And beyond that, I don't know. Wow, I don't know if I've ever met someone else who's played the Amazon Trail. That's crazy.
Wow. Yeah, I loved that game. But in 3rd grade, my teacher she was in charge of decorating the hallways, and every year there was a different theme. And my year was the Amazon theme, and so I would go in before class so I could help paint.
Oh,
yeah,
wow.
I was very into like the
As
Amazon
a 3rd
and the jungle.
grader?
Mm-hmm. My mom would drop me off so I can go paint the halls.
What?
What? Miss Wickland.
All right, shout
out to Miss Wickland.
Did she show you the Last Voyage of the Mimi?
No, that's 4th grade.
Oh, okay, all right.
Yeah.
But still, you were primed. You were boat ready.
I was.
Yes.
And, into marine biology. We all had that phase, I think.
Yes.
I didn't.
Yes. Yeah. See?
It's because
I was into
water.
sci-fi. I had sci-fi stages.
Yeah.
So this movie was made for $650,000, which in 1954 was, I think, about $1 billion today.
Yeah,
You could buy You could buy 10 homes
Mm-hmm.
and still have money left over for 100 cars. Again, back then, box office numbers were like a little different. The thing that I kept seeing repeated was that by the end of the year, this had made $2 million.
Oh.
So, good amount of money. This has 80% on Rotten Tomatoes, 3.5 on Letterboxd, 68 on Metacritic. This is not in the Criterion Collection, and surprisingly, this is not included in the National Film Registry, which I just want to point out that Google AI Assistant was wrong, and it told me that it was. And I thought, I'm not going to trust this Google AI.
No.
I looked into it, and guess what? It's not included yet.
Mm-hmm.
Ebert never reviewed this movie in his lifetime, which is pretty surprising because he would often go back and do big movies from before his day. The only thing that I saw was a quote where he said something like, "When you're sitting in the theater with your arm around a girl, you don't care what's happening in Creature of the Black Lagoon," or something like that. I was like, "Way to go, Raj."
Raj.
So we asked some friends on Twitter what they thought, and gotta tell you, this is ranking among the lowest responses I think we've ever received
Wow.
for a movie. I was like, wow, no one's ever
What the heck? Where are the creature heads at?
sitting around thinking about Creature from the Black Lagoon.
I assure you they exist. There is a very robust, and I mean very robust, several community pages on Facebook. There's a lot of overlap with the tiki community, which doesn't surprise me terribly. He's a very tiki drinkable monster, I feel.
Interesting.
There's also a lot of overlap with the pinup community.
Mm-hmm.
I think lady in swimsuit being hoisted by Beast. Also, a lot of they just released a model kit of a very bodacious woman monster, and that's cool, I guess.
A woman monster. What will they think of next? So we heard from, and I saw Kat liked the tweet, and I was like, that she would have been the one, but
yeah,
she was coming out here. So Amanda H at Beatrix Kiddo. I said in the original tweet, I said, best movie on a boat, creature that is easiest to empathize with. And she said, tiniest shorts, and then posted a picture of the men standing on the boat with the tiny shorts.
We do love the tiny shorts.
Yeah, they
the
look
fact
great.
that there were no wardrobe malfunctions is a blessing, but also a curse.
And then Ra at Rashan Jamal said, I didn't realize how much of Anaconda is just the creature from the Black Lagoon until this rewatch. Also, I wish I had ominous music like the creature every time I show up. And the music is great. It's classic, right?
Yeah.
Just like the music, the monster shows up. It's like da da da
da da da.
Yeah.
I recently rewatched part of Stephen of the Corn, Children of the Corn by Stephen King, and every time I think it's Linda Hamilton comes around a corner, even if there's nothing, I think just her entering into a room noise is shoon, and I'm like, all right.
So those are some friends that we do know. Now we go to a segment of the show where we hear from people that we don't know. It's called Half Star, 3-Star, 5-Star. Half Star, 3-Star, 5-Star. All right, so these are reviews from Letterboxd.com. We start with a half-star review, which is the lowest rating that you can give a movie. And we go all the way up to a 5-star review, which is the highest rating that you can give a movie. And I feel like there's no real accents in this movie beyond vague Amazonian dudes. So I'll skip that one. And I'll just go straight for...
I love when Kat just brings in little figurines
Kat
and
has
pets
just
them.
pulled in. Yes.
I'm scared.
I love it.
I think I'll just go classic half-star British voice. What do you think?
Sure.
Okay.
It's been a while, so let's do it.
Michelle, can you describe for me an Englishman that I'm...
The ones that you've been attempting to do?
No. Just give me a guy.
Enters the pub wearing a newsy cap hat.
Okay.
Had a hard day at work.
Okay. All right.
Picture Norm from Cheers,
Okay.
but British.
Okay.
So you're going to end up in Norm!
Right.
And then you're going to go off and complain because you're mad that you just had to spend time at work.
Right. And on my way to the pub, I watched Creature from the Black Lagoon.
Yeah.
And I sit down and I say...
at the Letterboxd Saloon.
I like that, Kat. The Letterboxd
Thank
Saloon.
you.
That's good.
I sit down and I say...
This movie is just crap. It's so old and nothing looks good. Plus, the acting is just dog. I felt like I was just waiting for the end to pop up on the screen so I could go to sleep.
Wow.
That's my guy. Half star.
I wish the podcasting had Oscars, because that's a podcast Oscar right there.
So yeah, this movie is crap. It's so old and nothing looks good.
Nothing looks
The acting
good.
is dog. And they wanted to go to sleep, so okay.
You should have just went to sleep, honey.
Yeah, just turn it off.
Just
no
go
one's
to
making
sleep.
you finish
I know,
a
like
movie.
no one's forcing you to watch
yeah,
this.
just turn it
a
off.
creature from the Black Lagoon standing behind him with a handgun.
Yeah.
Finish it.
Yeah.
3-star review says, I'll never not be blown away by those underwater visuals. It's even more impressive when you consider they were largely filmed on a backlot at Universal. Not the strongest of stories within the Universal monster movie universe, but it's one of their more beautiful looking films. 3 stars.
Okay.
Yeah.
5-star review says, this is the film that made me fall in love with film. As a child, I remember watching this and my mind was blown at what I witnessed. As an adult, I have to tell you that not much has changed. Sure, it has its issues, no doubt. Clearly sexist at times for starters, and the constant use of the hand coming up is a touch overkill. But this will always hold a special place in my heart as the first film to captivate me so thoroughly. I am still chasing the high I got while watching it for the first time. Those underwater sequences to this day astound me. I love this film, and I love cinema because of this film.
Wow.
Crazy, right?
I love that for them.
Yeah,
Yes.
That's
really
so
sweet.
special.
Yeah, and I pulled that one because I was kind of surprised by that. Not that this would be like that for someone, but I think sometimes it's just a good reminder that film is very subjective and everyone's experiences are different. And one person can think that the acting is dog, and the other person can be like, this is why I love movies. So
That's right. That's right.
absolutely. Kat, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Thanks,
This was really
Kat.
fun.
This was like over a year in the making.
Yeah, it's been a while. And I'm
Holy
assuming
cow.
I'll have to come on to talk about the James Wan one when it comes out too.
There you go. There you go. All right. We'll make a plan for another year. Yeah, I didn't mention it, but go to the Wikipedia page for this movie and just read the section on canceled remakes and reboots.
Oh,
of
yeah,
this.
it's huge.
It's crazy how many
Wow.
times they've almost redone this movie.
It's a little bit like Pinocchio, where I feel like every great filmmaker is like, I'm going to do Pinocchio next. And you're like,
Mhm.
why? And I feel like every like horror guy is like, I'm going to do Creature from the Black Lagoon. And I'm
Yep.
like, why this one?
Yep, it's pretty insane. I mean, even Del Toro, and then
Yeah.
he's just like, actually, I'm gonna make Shape of Water. Kat, where can people find you online?
Yeah, I'm all over the social internets as Kat, Kat _Chinetti. That's CHINETTI. That is my Letterboxd, Instagram, Twitter, Venmo. All the fun social medias. You can read my work on Nerd Caliber or over at catseesmovies.tumblr.com. And if you still use Facebook, I'm on Kat Chinetti there as well. That is my writing page. If you would like to hear me talk more, please listen to We Should Do This Again sometime, my podcast with the wonderful show and Mad Love. We are just starting our new season. We're about 3 episodes in, soon to be 4. So hopefully you can catch up. This year we are doing the best blank movies ever made, although this most recent episode wound up being whether Joker or Mary Poppins is a better anti-establishment musical. So come listen to our thoughts about that. If you would like to read more of my other general stuff, hop on over to my Instagram, and I have a bunch of stuff in my link tree that you can check out.
Very cool. Very cool. Yes, be sure to follow her and listen. Yeah, awesome. Well, thank you. Thank you very much again.
Thank you.
Of course. Thank you.
Hey, that was fun.
Always a blast.
Yeah. Kat joined you for Beetlejuice.
I know.
Yeah.
I feel like
Kat's
Kat
a
and I-
3-timer.
Oh my gosh, she could be in the club. I still want to make that a thing.
Yeah.
Next year, I want to make like a movie friends, like 3-timer club, 4-timer club thing. And I don't know what you'll get. You'll get
Right.
something.
Right.
It's coming. A badge, maybe?
Ooh, a badge.
Mm-hmm.
So thank you, Kat, also for educating us and loving this movie so much. So we are now ready to reveal our ratings. We rate things as a movie schmovie, a film, 1 through 5 stars, and we give our final thoughts. Do you want to go first? Do you want me to go first?
Your face is making me want Bubblicious watermelon gum.
I do look a bit like a watermelon right now. Yeah.
Yes. It's really
Mhm.
just, there's so many thoughts looking at you for over an hour or almost 2 now. I'll go first.
Okay. So I guessed that you were going to rate this 3.5 movie. No. Oh, okay.
No. This is like 4.2 movie for me. Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
This was really enjoyable. Like I said, I barely took any notes.
Mm-hmm.
I was very fixated on the screen. Yeah, I really like this one. This was fun. Really, really fun. And I wish Aunt watched it with me. This is another one where I watched it by myself. Just like last week, I watched Bride of Frankenstein by myself. But you bet your bottom dollar, I showed Aunt my favorite scene.
Oh, very good.
with
Which
the
was what?
miniatures. The miniatures.
Oh,
The Dr. Pretorius and the miniatures.
sorry. I thought we were talking about Creature still. Yeah.
No, sorry. Bride of Frankenstein. Yeah. But anyway. Yeah, and a movie. Rating this movie.
What's your guess for me?
I wrote down 4 stars in my corner for you and movie.
Very good. Very good. I watched this and I rated it 3 stars originally, which means that I like it. But again, as I mentioned in the conversation, a lot of it just kind of was, I was like, all right, we're on a boat. People are talking. What are we doing? What are we doing here? And this time around, it was like I saw it. I saw it for what it was and appreciated, all that they put into this. So 4-star movie. It's good.
Hey, look
if
at
you've
that.
been putting it off, hopefully you didn't listen to this before you did, but you should watch this movie. And it's quick. Bing, bang, boom.
Yeah, that's what I love about it too. Super quick.
Hey, if you love that we're super quick, we'd love it if you'd leave us a rating and a review wherever you're listening. If you're listening on Apple, 5 stars would be great. If you're listening anywhere else, just leave a comment, share it with a friend, subscribe, whatever, however, it's cool. Also, send us an email, moviefriendspodcast@gmail.com. Let us know what you thought about Creature from the Black Lagoon, or about watermelon bubblegum, or about cats making sushi, whatever. It's cool. You can also support the show, patreon.com/moviefriendspodcast. $5 a month gets you access to all of our additional episodes and series, which at this point just outnumber the stars in the sky. It's really insane. Come on. You've been listening to this show for what? 2 years almost. 2 years.
Wow.
And you're like, wow, I'm going to do it. And then you forget, but not today. You're going to remember. It's going to be great. And you're going to do it.
It's easy. Just click the link.
Super easy, man. All right. Next week is Michelle's pick.
You know what's
What are we
interesting
doing?
about next week?
Yeah.
It's my pick.
Mm-hmm.
but have never seen it.
Whoa. Is that even legal?
I know. I feel like we're breaking some rules here on Movie Friends, but my pick is The Invisible Man from 1933.
Oh, yeah.
I know nothing about it, so
Oh, yeah.
I'm assuming he's invisible.
Well,
Or
well,
maybe he's invisible to the world, feels invisible.
well, you do know one thing about it.
Oh my God. Ugh. It's just because it's got my girl in it,
Yes.
Una.
Una O'Connor. She will be
It's the only-
back.
It's the reason why I chose this.
Talk about the 3-timer club.
We gotta send her a badge. Rest in peace.
On her Doug that is definitely
Correct.
on her grave that is definitely Doug.
Hey, she was buried in New York, so we should go visit her grave.
Do you know where?
It says New York, New York.
Oh, I will definitely.
She died resting in Queens. Calvary Cemetery. We
I'm
need to
just
make her
telling
a
you right
badge
now.
and put it on her tombstone.
I will 100% go to Una O'Connor's grave.
I would do that too. I don't go to
Yeah.
graves, but I'll go to Una's.
Oh, I like going to graves.
Mm-mm.
Okay.
I like to go to other people's graves.
Not your own?
No, not like family.
Oh, sure. Well, no,
Yeah.
of course not. Yeah, that sucks.
Yeah, no.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's go make a field trip.
Okay. All right. Very exciting. Well, thanks, Michelle.
Thanks, Seth.
All right. Well, hey, until next time when we're talking about The Invisible Man from 1933. Thank you very much for listening. Have a good one.
Movie Friends is produced by Seth Vargas and Michelle Rubenstein. Music by Anthony Pecora. If you like the show, please subscribe and give us a rating. It really helps us find new friends. Thanks!